Eyup, cock. We are back. Not only, like, number one, fantastic weekend as we're about to get into, but number two, we have not stopped with the EFL reviews, okay? We've had two unfortunate Mondays in a row. 2 weeks ago today, we had his kitchen ripped out, so obviously I just couldn't do anything because there's some guy going zzzz. And then week after we had his internet ripped out and changed as well. So we had to put them on TikTok, but now we're back to normal. Everybody calm down. And like I said, great weekend, which we will get into, but we'll start with Championship and Friday night fixture, which were Watford and Oxford. 1-0 Watford. And in fairness to Watford, I mean, where are they at the minute? Like, obviously, we'll look at this once we've done it all. Watford is 6th. I have not watched enough of these boys to make, like, my own... I still don't know what I think of them, because they're barely on telly, in fairness. I know this were on telly, but it was the same time as Barnes, which we'll come to in a minute. But I cannot make a solid opinion on him because I'm not watching him enough. From the bits that I've seen, he looks serious. This Georgian bloke that they've got on wing, he looks a very, very good player. People keep telling me that Boyo's crap, but he scored about 7 against Wednesday, and then he scored, obviously, against Oxford here. I feel like one of the strengths that I've seen from Watford, from the bits that I have seen when it's always highlights and stuff like that, they're so fast on break with some of the players that they've got, which Oxford just really could not deal with way that I've seen it coming. Like, obviously, the width that Oxford have got, I think, is probably the strongest point, especially at minute with the injuries that they've still got. Like, Brannigan is still out, isn't he? He's still out. Dembele's still out. Like, Philip, they've got a lot of players that are still injured. They managed to win last week, didn't they? Against Hull at home. So against, like, really crap sides, they are okay. They've not been winning a lot of games, but they've not been losing that many, to say that they've had this many injuries as well. And obviously, they're still really, really safe. I don't think they'll be in any sort of danger at all, even still. The gap has closed significantly. It's now 2 points from Cardiff to Oxford. But, you know, there's so many teams down here. I think Oxford will be sound when they get all the players back. They've got a really good manager. And as for Watford, I would like to see them play a game, which would be nice. But from the bits that I'm seeing, they do look a threat constantly going forward, which I like. But half 12 is on Saturday. Like, I was watching 2 of these at once. I was watching this Cardiff game and the Middlesbrough one at once. So we'll talk about Cardiff first, because obviously they've lost 3-1 to Blackburn. The main talking point for me here is, how did Blackburn get Andre Vyman for free from Bristol City? He weren't scoring loads and loads of goals before he went, but to get... I don't know, I just think that were really, really good business from Blackburn. And also, the 2 goals that they scored, like, obviously the stats are heavily favoured to Cardiff. And Blackburn, I think, are maybe starting to be one of these where they're quite stubborn in the way of playing out from back. They won't change at certain times. Like, against Sheffield United at home at the half 12, I thought they were like that. But I'll tell you what, they look really, really good here. The goals were very, very well worked, apart from the third one, which were just really crap keeping from Cardiff's keeper. But the goals that Blackburn made were top notch, seriously very good. And I really like the team. They're really well balanced. This is like a top half-ish team, I'd say, on paper, maybe, because it is a weak league. Obviously, they've sold Smodics, but they've reinvested the money quite well. I'm liking the look of this team and this manager, because Eustace is very, very good. Cardiff, obviously, after recently turning into a super team after they sacked the gaffer, they've lost the last 2 away at Luton, which takes some serious doing because Luton is shit. And then this one at home to Blackburn. The upcoming fixtures are quite favourable, like Wednesday, QPR, Coventry, Watford, Preston, Stoke, up until Sheffield United. They've got some decent-ish fixtures coming up, so they need to be out of bottom 3 quite soon, because if they're still stuck in there, in a couple of weeks, you know what I mean? They've obviously done really, really well to close the gap in last month, but they're still definitely one of the weaker sides in this league, as shown by this game. And speaking of weak sides, holy shit. This looked, I was watching both at the same time. I was out in Sheffield, like, just at, if you know Sheffield are at Common Room playing pool, so they had loads of tellies on at once. Luton are shocking. Honestly, like, really, really bad. Up until the first goal, so like half an hour in, it looked quite even from the bits that I'd seen. But then after that, it were over. Do you know what I mean? It were over before it even began. People have kept telling me as well that Finners has crap. Like, I've been getting told this for ages. Even by Middlesbrough fans, everybody's telling me that he's rubbish. Every time I watch the bloke, he's unbelievable. He's so good. I don't know if he's getting lucky that every time I'm watching Middlesbrough, it's obviously not telling them they're performing. Like Middlesbrough, Sheffield United at home, I thought they were really good. This game, obviously, really, really good. They are playing a crap side, but 2 goals and an assist against anybody's good. I just really like the balance of this Middlesbrough side as well. Stats-wise, they always look like this, and it wouldn't have surprised me at all if they'd have gone and lost this game. Because obviously they won last week heavily. They scored 4 past QPR, so it wouldn't surprise me if they'd have gone and lost 3-0 at home to Luton, because that's just what Middlesbrough are operating like. They're so inconsistent, which is annoying when you know how good they can be when they put the mind to it like this. When they click, they are one of the best sides in this league easily. But Luton, I don't know what's happening. Wait, let me just go back to that because I've had, and I don't even know. They've got Morris on bench. I don't know if he's been injured or what, but it's captain that's being benched when he's easily Luton's best player from what I've seen before. Just I don't know. But Middlesbrough up to 7th because Watford obviously won at half-12 as well. Luton 4th bottom, joint goal difference with Cardiff, who had got what a point until like a month ago. They are shit. Really, really bad. Like, obviously, they're going to look a goal for it because of the attacking players that they've got. But they are seriously bad. Every time I've watched Luton, I feel like it's opposite end to Middlesbrough. Because when I watch Middlesbrough, they're really, really good. Every time I watch Luton, they look shocking, regardless of who it's against. And as tough as it is to think of something like this, especially after he's given you such a good season. But Rob Edwards has... There's got to be some sort of conversation going on here. If Luton can sack Robbins because they're not happy with the league position and everything that's happening, what must Luton be thinking? Do you know what I mean? You've got all this money from Premier League. I know he's not been helped particularly well with the transfer that they've made. They've not spent loads of the money that they've got from him taking them there. But God, there's got to be some sort of internal crisis button really close to being pushed by Rob Edwards. Stoke and Millwall, one apiece. The highlight for me from this game is Jake Cooper ragging that Stoke lad's shirt off. How that is not a penalty, I have not got a clue. The officials in these leagues, man, absolutely honk. What does the ref actually think's happened there? The Stoke player's got a tap in and he's just thought, nah, fall backwards. Why would he do that? He's got his shirt ragged off. It's a mint point, to be fair. If I were Millwall, this is a good point for both teams because Stoke obviously going up against a very, very informed side in Millwall. They've won 4 in a row before this. They've conceded, like, including this Stoke goal, I think they've conceded like 2 in 7. Do you know what I mean? They're really, really good defensively. They're not hitting enough going forward. They are very set-piece orientated, aren't they? But it's Millwall at the end of the day. But they've been really, really good recently. I hope it's their time. I really do. Even if they just lose it playoffs, just give them a sniff of what it could be like. Derby and Plymouth one apiece. Derby's home form recently has been pooey. It's been a poo-wee. Out of the last 4, 2 draws, a loss, and 1 win against QPR, all against sides that are... You know what I mean? Norwich away and nothing special at all. They're much better at home. I mean, we're going to come to that in a minute as well. But Norwich are much better at home. QPR, the one obviously, but Hull and Plymouth, and you're getting 2 points from them. In a time where Derby, realistically, if you win them 2 games, you're in playoff picture. I know they're not miles away from it either. They're on an even goal difference after 15 games. But they've got to be more clinical against the crapper sides, which they aren't being. And it's not through lack of trying, because Derby have been miles better side. And Plymouth again... snagged a point. I don't know how they keep doing it. They keep snagging results all the time. I'm loving it. Like, obviously, don't get me wrong. The Leeds one, everybody's going to go to Leeds and lose for the most part. The majority of the time, you're going to lose knowing that you've lost and when you're not even going to score. So that I'm not that bothered about. They were 3-0 down in this game and snagged a point there. They've bet Portsmouth, who were a crap side. And to be fair, Portsmouth were a better side in that game as well. So they've nicked it a bit, Plymouth there. And then they've gone to Derby, had what? 1 half decent chance an entire game. And even that's a stretch at that XG. And they've come away with a point against one of the hardest teams that it is to go to away. There's no real daylight, though, is there, between them and bottom 3? It's so tight. Cardiff to Norwich. As if Norwich are that far. It's a shit league in this. But yeah, anyway, Leeds have won 2-0. Obviously, that's just the most routine Leeds home game in Championship you'll ever see. They were dominant start to finish, they won. You know what I mean? They're never really in danger at home. Even against Burnley when they lost, Burnley had, what, like 1 chance all game and took it. At home, they're very, very good. They're just going to start picking it up a little bit away and against the good sides Leeds, and they'll just easily go up. QPR, yeah, the bottom of the league, which is a worry in itself, but I won't be worried about this result because, like I've said, everybody goes to Leeds knowing that they've lost most of the time. Norwich 0, Bristol City 2. I'm not going to get too excited. I mean, Bristol City are up to 10th, and there's 3 points between them and 11th. So, who knows? Seriously, who knows? This is a really, really good win. They're a better side as well, by looks of it and what I've seen and stuff like that, against a very, very good Norwich team. Obviously, Norwich have got a lot of injuries at the minute, so you've got to take that into account as well. But I cannot for the life of me get excited about Bristol City because I know what is coming. They'll win a point, massive nosebleed, fall straight back down. They just cannot have 1 day in playoffs. They're not allowed to do it. And yeah, Norwich's form is really, really crap as of late. But like I just said, the amount of injuries that they've got, look at the missing players. It's the same for Bristol City as well, but Norwich are losing like starter after starter after starter after starter. It's not like squaddies and players that might just play like odd game. These are Norwich's better players that are all just picking up injuries all the time. Portsmouth 3, Preston 1. I'm happy about this because the main man for Portsmouth is finally back and he put ball on spot kick and scored. So that is like the little bit of life maybe that Portsmouth need for it all to come at once, for him to get the win, for him to come on and score. It might give him a little bit of life, because I just think they create nothing going forward most of the time. But obviously, once you've got your main man back, you've got your serious number 9 now, it might change for him. It really might, because Preston are another quite poor team, in fairness, that Portsmouth have just put to sword quite easily. They were miles the better side from what I saw. And obviously Bishop, he is the goal scorer. The last 2 years that he's played, is it 20 in both years? So he's obviously not going to hit 20 this time, because he's playing for one of the worst teams in league, you know what I mean? And he's obviously missed first 14 games. But if he can have even like an half decent return close to this, if he hits 10 goals, genuinely, it might be enough to keep him up. It's a really, really poor league. And to be fair, Preston recently have been a really, really poor side. Again, I do not think these are hardest fixtures ever. Were they not 2-0 up against Norwich as well? I think. I can't remember, but I'm just going to say it without clicking on it because I can't be bothered. Then I think they were 2-0 up against Norwich and ended up drawing that. They were obviously 3-0 up away at Plymouth and ended up drawing that one as well. Lost up to Bristol City, drew with Sunderland. The Sunderland draw's not that bad. Then away at Portsmouth, another like poorer side. They're just going to get arseholed again. Maybe a little bit of squeaky bum going on at Preston, but yeah, I don't know. Won't be too worried yet, but like I feel like I just keep saying the same thing about Preston, which is that they do not look enough for a threat going forward, which is what I think about some of the other sides. I think the same about Portsmouth for the most part, obviously this result aside. I feel the same about Portsmouth, that they don't look enough for a threat going forward, but Preston are conceding a lot of goals as well, to not make up for the fact that they're creating nothing going forward. And finally, Sunderland 2, Coventry 2, after Coventry sacked Mark Robins, which is, I think that's one of the stupidest decisions that I've genuinely ever seen. Regardless if Coventry, like, whatever they do this season, they're not going to get top 6 now. They might not go down, do you know what I mean? But it's so poor. I just think it's such a rash decision. I don't know why. I just don't understand. Maybe they're going for, like, a big name to try and get, like, I don't know, a bit of a Plymouth effect going on, where teams are always talking about Plymouth, and like a load of big personalities and big names are talking about Plymouth because of the manager that they've got. So maybe if Coventry do go down Lampard route, that's what they're going for a little bit. But I can't see him going for someone like Bloomfield at Wycombe, because he's one of other favourites. But that is a manager that is going to take a while to get Coventry going. He likes a project, Bloomfield, doesn't he? It's going to take him a while for him to start getting results and start seeing what he can do. Obviously, Coventry are fed up with a project, or they want to sack Mark Robins. They must think that they can see a way of fast-tracking the way to Premier League, or they want to sack Mark Robins. That's the only slightly reasonable thing I can think of as to why they've done it. So they must be going for somebody who they think can just instantly come in and get them going straight away. And that is not Bloomfield at Wycombe. Is it Lampard? I doubt it. I mean, I think he's a half-decent manager, in fairness. But I don't know. I think it's daft that. This is a really good point from, don't get me wrong, because they were 2-0 down at half-time and they've ended up coming back and drawing game, which is really, really good. An even game by looks. To be fair, the highlights didn't show a great deal. I mean, it just showed like the goals were the only bits of quality the entire game. But from a Sunderland point of view, obviously the last 3 games have drawn them all against sides where they could have and should have probably taken 9 points from these games. Especially the QPR one, that was really poor. I think Sunderland had 10 men for a lot of that as well. But with the gap that they've got at minute, they're obviously even on points with Sheffield United. If Sheffield United didn't have the points deduction, they would be top. But if they'd have like just turned a couple of these into wins, there'd have been such daylight between them and second already. And they had a big gap early. I'm sure they had like a 6-point gap at one point, Sunderland already. That slowly started whittling away, because Leeds, even though they lost this game, they're winning more recently. Sheffield United just don't concede goals ever. So that's what they've got on a lot of teams. They just keep winning, especially at home. Sunderland recently, especially when they're 2-0 up against the Coventry side that have just sacked the manager, and then they go and draw from being 2-0 up, is weak mentally. They've got to come on, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm rooting for Sunderland because I'm looking at the 2 teams below them that are going to get in there if not. So I need you to pick it up. And then, I mean, speaking of one of them, Sheffield United won the Sheffield derby against Wednesday 1-0. This was a crap game start to finish. Like, absolutely horrendous. There were one bit of quality the entire game, and it was a goal. That were it. And for the most part, I think O'Hare is a fanny. I think he creates nothing. He just trots about doing no. He just looks slack half at time. But that from Aymer, I mean, Aymer sent Bannon back to Turkey, didn't he? Like, that were really, really nice how he just sent him an edge at box. Aymer disguised that pass really good. It was a really good goal, but that were it. All game, there were nothing. I expected a little bit more a bastard going on, but there were none of that. There were no big tackles going in, really. The atmosphere sounded crap. It was just a flat game in general, which you're going to get at probably like half 12, and it's always going to be a cagey game when it's a derby like this. but I thought the quality were just really, really poor from both sides. But, and it's important, but it is the sign of a very good side if you can play shit and win, which is what Sheffield United have done again. Because I think performance-wise, they're very inconsistent as well. Like, Leeds, obviously, that were a lot closer than people made it out to be, I think. I thought they would just put two poor sides again in that game. Middlesbrough, they were miles the worst side. Blackburn, they were really good. And it's like, they're so hot and cold with the performances. But if you can concede, 7 goals in 15 games, you're conceding less than a goal every 2 games, you are getting promoted. Seriously, I know I said at the time, 18th. I was only taking piss anyway, because I knew you'd all fall for it, guys. Wing, 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 wing. It's a really crap league. There's a finite amount of even half-decent sides. Sheffield United, if they can keep up the defensive record that they've got and they're ridiculously good at home, they are getting promoted. It is as simple as that. And Wednesday, I mean, their next fixtures are quite make or break. They've got a lot of very, very easy fixtures in a row where they could end up 3rd or last by the time it's done. Unfortunately, I don't see either of them things happening. I can see them being 18th. And I think that's where they'll be. The squad's really, really crap. If it weren't for Danny Rowe, they'd definitely be going down because he managed to make it a scrappy game, which favoured Sheff Wednesday, but they've got absolutely nothing going for them. They're a really, really shit team personnel-wise. Moving on, all 1 baggies 2. I mean, to be fair, I think this is the first time that West Brom have actually won a game in about 6 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. First win in 9 games. And the 5th. Oh, oh, wow. This, I'm telling you now, the 3 that go up, straight back down. This league's shit. The quality on show it's non-existent. This West Brom team, in general, is crap. Seriously, it is not that good. All the standouts in this team, Moat and Madja are the 2 standout players to me. Fellows is a young lad. He's really, really good, obviously. So is Mikey Johnson. Carlton Grant, I think, is severely underrated. He's actually got a bit of quality. People don't give him the respect he deserves even because he's not young or a flashy name and he's just been kicking about forever. Grant is a serious player. I really, really like him. But the movement for Madge's goal were really, really good. Other than that, Carlos is the best asset that anybody has got in this entire league. Hands down. He's the best manager in this league. And the way that West Brom play, from what I've seen before, even though the results haven't been going the way recently, if they go up and play like that they might stop up because they're not bothered about keeping ball. They're not bothered about playing it out front back. They're not very stubborn like that. They will play what is suited to Premier League for a shit team. And I think if anybody's to go up, the Carlos ball is the way that anybody would stay up. But Hull, yeah, really shit. I could probably see him sacking the manager soon because they've been absolutely garbage in recent weeks. Wherever they're now in the league, they must be quite low. Yeah, again, goal difference is the only reason that they're not in bottom 3 at the minute and not watching over the shoulder seriously. But I just think the decisions that Hull have made from a hierarchy decision in the last 6 months have been really, really bad, and it's probably a reason why they're doing so shit. And then finally, Burnley won Swansea 0. Burnley have scored 1 open play goal this century. They're so boring. It's just what Scott Parker does. He is talented to a place where he can coach all the individual talent that anybody has got out of him. It just turns them all crap. And he's got a serious knack of getting jobs at top end at Championship or at teams where they're just expected to do well. I've never ever seen him take a job where the team is expected to change something to maybe perform. That he's never gone to a crap side in Premier League, has it? He's always gone to top Championship teams at the time when they're there. So his agent's really, really good. He's probably the best thing about him. But looking at table, I mean, QPR, pooey. Serious pooey. It's obviously Leeds away, so I'm not that bothered. But 1 win in 15, I am bothered about. That is really, really crap. Least goals scored in league, or one of the least, apart from Swansea beat us, but that's from Swansea anyway. They just keep balling doing now. Pompey, really good win. Cardiff have been losing again, same as Luton, Preston. There's a lot of shit teams. Do you know what I mean? Coventry, again, 1 point separating them, and after they've sacked the manager, yeah, who knows? But there's so many bad sides. It's 3 points from relegation zone to 14th after 15 games. It's such a level playing field, I think, for the most part, in terms of Championship, because everyone's so bad. There are only, generally, in this league, who is seriously good? Who is a proper side that you can see really, really getting to Premier League and maybe staying up? Middlesbrough are too inconsistent to do it. West Brom just haven't got the squad to do it despite having the manager. Burnley have probably got the squad for it, but not the manager. Leeds, again, Leeds I think are the best chance of anybody getting to Premier League and staying up, which I really don't want to say, but I do think that is the case. Because Sheffield United, as much as I think they might go up now, where they've been playing and the defensive record that they've got, they play like they did against Wednesday, even against like the worst of the worst in Premier League. They go and play, I don't know, a team that's been there for ages that's quite crap. Wolves, Palace, they're getting dicked big time. They would get absolutely arsehole if they play like that in Premier League. Sunderland, again, have they got the bite really to maybe to get up line and do it? Who knows? I'm not. I don't know. But I just think this league in general is shit, and it will be until next season when the Reds are in there. God, we're a super team. Honestly, we are unbelievable, Jeffrey. After the international break, which was, am I going? Oh, after Huddersfield won it. So we've played all these games since. Blackpool away. At the time, Blackpool were on fire. We went there easily, better side, win. Charlton, how we did not win that game, I ain't got a clue. That's the only thing that's knocked me a little bit, that we've somehow drawn that game. But we were really, really good in that game. Shrewsbury, absolutely no danger at all, swept aside. Donny's not real because we played out kids in that shit cup, so I'm actually glad we lost that game. Port Vale, top of League 2 in FA Cup away. We went there and won quite comfortably. Rotherham, again, I mean, they're just a really, really bad team. But we are on flames, mate. We are on X Games mode. We are a super team. I'm not joking. This could and probably should have been 7-1. I thought the first 10 minutes were really, really scrappy, but after that, we just slapped them for rest of the game. Done. I love you, man, but come on, you've got to be scoring at least like 7 of them chances. Come on, like honestly. If he'd have had a different pair of boots on, he'd have took match ball home with him, definitely. As midfield is ridiculous. Russell is a changed man if he gets played further forward, which he has been doing. This image just isn't right. He's been further up pitch most of the time. Phillips has been serious recently as well. That some of them balls that he was playing out wide against a ball. But Rotherham, as the time of me recording this, they have not sacked Steve Evans yet, which I cannot believe. We're going into an international break. To be fair, I don't even know if it's counting for Rotherham, if they're still playing or not. But we're going into like a little bit of a break. It's time to sack him, or you might go down. Rotherham are one of the worst teams I've ever seen, which is partly due to how good we were playing. But in general, they are shit. They looked literally worse than Shrewsbury, who had played week before and bet 2-0 as well. They looked so bad. But yeah, basically we're a super team and we're going up. Burton versus Shrewsbury, that were a massive, massive game down at bottom. And a game where I don't think Burton had even won a game before this one. No, they're not. There's some, despite winning one game all season, they're not even bottom at league. Oh God. Shrewsbury 4 losses in a row, no goals in them 4 games. To be fair, like I just said, when we played them, they looked terrible. Like, really, really shockingly bad. We obviously played Port Vale away in FA Cup the week before. Port Vale are miles a better side than these. And they're a League 2 team, do you know what I mean? And I do think that Burton's team is quite good. So the fact that they've not won a game until this, it has been surprising to me, I'm not going to lie. Because when I went away to these earlier in the season, and they look really hard to break down. But it is a big win. It's a needed one as well. But, again, are the 4 teams worse than either of these two sides? These two, I mean, it's a much, much bigger game that for Burton than it is for Shrewsbury, obviously. Do you know what I mean? They've won game and Shrewsbury haven't. But the both 6 points are getting at. This is the definition of a 6-pointer. Do you know what I mean? They are both crap. And if you can find 4 sides better than either of these two teams, I'd be very, very impressed. I feel like both of these could be swapping places with Port Vale by the time the season's done. Wrexham bet Mansfield 1-0. That were an early kickoff as well. I think them 3 were maybe early kickoff. Oh no, Birmingham weren't. Them 2 were early kickoffs, I think. But Wrexham bet Mansfield 1-0, and that's another big game. 2 teams that both come promoted from League 1, from League 2 last season. Mansfield obviously in playoffs as well as Wrexham until this game had started. I feel like Wrexham are riding the luck a little bit recently. I'm obviously not going to go into every single game as much as I can, but Mansfield I thought were the better side massively. If I'm being honest, it were really, really good. I think it were a Wrexham defender that scored a goal. It were a really good finish. But Wrexham are definitely riding the luck a little bit recently. They've not been that good in the last few games that I've seen, just from watching highlights, extended highlights, stuff like that, because obviously I'm not going to watch this on telly when there's other games on, do you know what I mean? But I do think they are riding the luck a little bit. I think Parkinson has genuinely been really, really good. We always set Wrexham up so far this season in League 1, and the way that they've been playing, defending really, really well and playing on counter-attacks, because the squad is not that good in the grand scheme of things. But like I said, the quality has not been there recently. They're relying on very, very good individual brilliance moments from a team that does not have that many very good individuals. So eventually, it's going to balance itself out. Do you know what I mean? I could see the soon being like a spell where Wrexham maybe don't win for like 4 or 5 games. And then that is when you will see them get dragged into a more playoff picture than an autos picture. But Mansfield, I won't really worry about that much. Obviously, they've lost game, but they were really, really good. It's a poor league in general. Obviously, the main priority for Mansfield when they first got up anyway was to stay up. Let's not kid it. It's to stay up first and foremost, which they've probably done already. Do you know what I mean? But they're definitely in this picture still. One loss, or quite a poor last couple of games in general, because obviously they drew. In fact, no, it's not a poor last couple of games. They drew on to Birmingham. And they were all right in that game as well. So they have played the top 2 in the last 2 games, or 2 of the top 3, said with Wycombe. And I think they're a decent side. They will definitely be in this sort of picture. I think them and Wrexham are a lot closer than people think. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think it'll even itself out by the time we're all in May. Birmingham, though, have dropped points again. If you boys had Barnes as midfield, I'm telling you now, you'd have won this game, and I'm not even joking. That's the 4th time this season that Birmingham have dropped points. 96 minute. I mean, it's really, really shit defending from Sanderson, in fairness. But Birmingham have had like 4 XG in this game and not finished them off, despite spending £30 million in summer against Northampton. And I've been saying that Northampton have got like individual bits of brilliance in their team. They've got some great players, I'm telling you. Birmingham's best player, by the way, Stansfield, big flashy name, big shiny forward, you know what I mean? Loads of money. Cockroach, that left back, baller. Northampton, I would put money on it that they will not go down. Seriously, they are so much better than some at Joss down at bottom. And Birmingham, I mean, they've only lost 1 game so far this season still, so it's not end of world, is it? But 2 draws in a row. Badly, two wins in a row. Bristol Rovers 1-1 with Lincoln. This is just 2 bogey sides for a lot of favourites in League One. They always drop points against teams like this, I'm telling you. It's a much better point for Bristol Rovers than it is for Lincoln, because Bristol Rovers were sort of like, until recently, they were sort of like flirting around the bottom 4-ish zone. Recently, they've come out of that a little bit and put a bit of daylight between them both. But Lincoln, obviously, in playoffs still. They'd won the 2 games before this against Stockport and Northampton, who Birmingham obviously cannot beat despite spending 30 million quid, or 40, I think, is it? I don't actually think it's that bad of a result for Lincoln in general. Obviously, they prefer to win. Who won? But a point away at Bristol Rovers for anybody, I think, is genuinely an half-decent point in this league. Huddersfield drawing away at Crawley is not. This is pooey. To be fair, they've got more possession than Crawley at their place, which I am surprised with. But you just look at the shots, man. Look at the shots. 3 shots, 2 have gone in, 11 and 2. So they're just nowhere near as clinical as they need to be. Huddersfield, that is, if they want to seriously challenge for top 2. They're going to be at playoffs, aren't they? Regardless of what start they've had, Huddersfield are nailed on, dead cert to be in playoffs at least by the time it's done. But they are not consistent enough, finishing-wise, or defensively, obviously, in this game, to put a serious clamp on top 2. They are not consistent enough. A really, really good point, though, for Crawley, to be honest, because Huddersfield have been in decent form recently. Obviously, they drew away at Wrexham and they were better side there as well. So, and it's a good point for Crawley against what is a team that's going to have much better players than them. 2 draws in the last 2 games. They do need to start churning a couple more wins after want to really seriously go up. But if these can somehow survive Crawley, this will be one of the biggest underdog stories in history. Gone up, sold all the best players, lost the manager to a League 2 team after about a month. If they stay up, I'll be shook of me. I really want them to. Can't see it, though. Exeter 1-0 against Charlton is a really, really big result again as well. Exeter at home are a good side, I'm telling you. These are another one in the Bristol Rovers Lincoln category where you will go there and probably lose even if you're going to go and win league. They're just one of them teams. And Charlton are just going back to prime Nathan Jones, aren't they? 3 draws in a row. I'm going to say it again, how they snagged a point away at us, I have not got a clue. We absolutely arseholed them start to finish. I can't believe we drew that game. But then 3 draws and a loss in the last 4. Against decent sides, to be fair. Stockport, Barnsley, Wrexham, and then Exeter away, which is an hard team to go. But that just shows where Charlton are. They've not got it in them to win games against half-decent sides, which is probably why they're sat in 13th. I can't see them making a proper claim for playoffs. I think Exeter will be more likely to be closer to it than them by the time it's there. Plus, they've got a game in hand as well, Exeter, in fairness. So if they win the game in hand, they're going playoffs. But I do think it is just 2 teams that are probably going to finish around like the 10th-ish mark. I don't want to go into predictions already, even though I keep saying Barnsley will win league every like 5 minutes. But I don't see either of these being in there by the time it's done. Leighton Orient 3-0 against Blackpool. Oh my God. To be fair, they needed that Leyton Orient. They've been crying out recently for some goals. Because obviously they were in bottom four for a long, long time. They've sprung themselves out last couple of weeks with 2 wins out of the last 3, which is really, really good. They've obviously lost to Wycombe, but everybody's doing that recently, so that don't mean anything really. And Blackpool have been dragged straight back into it. Obviously, when Steve Bruce first come in, the whole Steve Bruce thing, he's barely even been managing the place, has he? So it's not on him that they're in this position anyway, because they were crap before him anyway, in general. And then obviously everything that's happened is it's not even being there to be able to manage the team. Do you know what I mean? So it's not his fault, the position that they're in. Blackpool in general, I think, last couple of years I've just had really, really poor recruitment across board. I feel like the decisions with players coming and going is so bad. I really, really do. This Evans that they got from, I think it was Ipswich, I can't even remember who he's come from, but he's a good player if he can stay fit. But the team in general, look at this. This is Blackpool in League One. Look at how crap that 11 is. It's so bad. But it is, again, a really, really big and important win for Leyton Orient because, yeah, they're 2 points in front, but they've got a game in hand as well. Do you know what I mean? And they're massive this early. Right, well, this is one of the games at weekend, isn't it? Peterborough 6, Cambridge 1. Before this game, and bearing in mind, this is a big derby for these two. I don't know how it can be a derby if it's 3 o'clock on a Saturday. But anyway, before this game, Cambridge obviously had been really, really shit all season until recently where they've gone win, 5 up bounce, no goals conceded in any of them games. God himself knows what's happened in that international break, but Gary Monk has been sacrificing people to get them playing good. But then they go to Peterborough in their biggest game, effectively, well, both of these biggest games in terms of like the teams that they're playing this season, and get slapped, like absolutely annihilated. This isn't even a flattering result. They're miles the better side, Peterborough. And this Peterborough side ain't even good. This is not a good Peterborough team as far as League One is concerned for them. The back 5 is all different compared to last season. They've still got Collins and like some of the other lads that they've got in middle. I don't even know. Where's Cipriani who plays like that? Anyway, the thing that surprised me most with Peterborough, they obviously sold so many of the good players last season. And how they didn't get promoted in general is a war crime because the team that they had were really, really good. They have still got this man. They have still got Poku. Why? I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen right now. His contract expires in summer, right? I don't know if he's got an option as well, or if the club's got an option. I don't know how it's working. But this is telling me that his contract expires next summer. If I know this Peterborough chairman and the Peterborough owner, he is getting flogged in January. 100 emoji. There is not a universe where he does not get sold in January. Even if, let's just say, as a freakish example, Peterborough in every single game from now until January 1st and the top at league, they've got a serious chance at going up. He is getting flogged every day at week. Peterborough's owner can smell a Sunday dinner on a fucking Tuesday, mate. He can smell cash from anywhere. And he will be selling him for about £1.5 million to Birmingham or Millwall, something like that. He will be gone in January, I swear down. And then they will topple that table again. Peterborough could be anywhere in January. They'll have a completely different team on February 1st. Cambridge, however, I'm glad that they've lost this game. Goodness me, because if we'd have gone into we're playing them at weekend, Barnsley, right? If we'd have gone into playing these after they've won 5 in a row where I conceded, I'd have been very upset. However, after conceding 6 goals in the biggest derby, get in there, thank you, Peterborough. We'll probably lose now, I've said that. Stevenage 1, Reading 1. Stevenage at home are a really good side in fairness. And I think Reading ended up equalising. I think Stevenage were winning for the majority of this game and then Reading ended up equalising. That is a good point for both sides. Reading have been on shit hot form recently in fairness, apart from last week they lost. But Stevenage at home, really good team. I'm not just saying it because we went and lost there. They are really, really good side at home. So it's a good point for both. However, on to the actual biggest game of this weekend. Stockport 5, Bolton 0. What are you on about? Oh my God, what is Ian Evatt doing? Has he Edward any kids this weekend, Evatt? No? 0.11 XG. Oh, but they've got 61% at ball, to be fair, so they'll probably get Swansea job. I don't know. 4 shots, none on target. They've been absolutely dick start to finish against a side that last week lost 5-0. Stockport have gone from losing 5-0 to winning 5-0. It's a funny old game, isn't it? Louis Barry at it again. God, when he's on it, he's really on it. I don't know if Villa got an option to recall him in January. Because Stockport could be in serious bother. It'd make sense from a Villa perspective. Recall him in January and just send him to Championship if any of them boys want him. Which they've got to do, aren't they? Surely. Depending on where Stockport are in league when it gets to January. They've obviously played a game more than more or less everybody else that's in this sort of picture, which is a little bit of a worry. But you'd rather have points on board, wouldn't you, I guess? But if they're maybe 10th, 11th, 12th-ish by the time it's in January, they could be in serious danger of Barry getting recalled, even though he obviously loves it there because he spent the last 2 years there. But in fairness, it's a very, very good win. Do you know what I mean? 5-0 loss and then a 5-0 win. And then the 1-4-1 against Reading. Big swings, aren't they? They're not consistent at all, Stockport. And do Bolton sack Ian Evatt? I just think, right, I don't know what I want. From a Barnsley point of view, obviously Bolton are going to, again, this is another team. Bolton are going to be in playoffs. Regardless of what start they've had, Bolton and Huddersfield are going to finish in the top 6 when it's in May. I absolutely guarantee you it. I promise you. Regardless if they sack Evatt, if they keep Evatt, regardless if sun don't come up in the morning, Bolton will be in top 6 by the time it's done. It's just engraved into this league that they will finish in top 6. And do I want Evatt sacked? It's like, obviously he's failed the last couple of seasons, especially last season, that were a serious failure, them not getting promoted last season. However, I know that he's going to get him in there. I know what they can do. As inconsistent as they are, they've gone from losing in semis in playoffs to losing in final. And obviously because we're going up in top 2, Bolton sort of have to come with us because we're conjoined at the hip. We cannot leave each other's side. So if we're going up, we've got to drag them with us, haven't we, anyway? I actually don't want them. I do want them to sack Evatt. I do. From my own selfish point of view, if I were a Bolton fan, I might have a different perspective on it because I'm only seeing the highlights and stuff like that. But I think Evatt will... Seriously, I think he could definitely be taking them up. I really do. Despite being on end of a 5-0 to Stockport. The final game of this weekend was Wigan 0, Wycombe 1. Oh, man. I mean, they've done it again. What? Hello? Who? This is Wycombe Wanderers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 wins in the last 9 games. They've drawn away at us. And I thought they looked hot cross bun when we played them. I thought they were shit. We've got a point off a super team. I can't believe it. The thing that I'm really, really liking about Wycombe as well, which is actually quite annoying me, they're winning in such contrasting ways every single week. They'll go from dominating all up ball, having loads of shots one week, to this, barely touching it ball, having a fairly even amount of chances, but they're clinical. They're winning in so many different ways all the time. Again, I said about Sheffield United, a sign of a really good team. And Wigan have obviously been in shit recently, and they've been dragged into it quite a lot recently. They're not scoring enough goals at all. The defensively, they're quite good. Obviously, 12 conceded in 14 is not bad at all, but they've only scored 12. Is that the least in league? Stevenage have got 11. Cambridge on 12 as well on joint. They're not scoring enough goals, which, I mean, who have they got up front? They've got Asgard up front. He's not even a striker, and he's up front. They've been let down again. There's just a lot going on at Wigan in general, isn't there? I think the manager, to be fair, he needs to be given a little bit of time because, again, they've just not brought in enough players to give him any sort of chance of doing anything. So I think if they keep the manager, they'll step up, which for Wigan this season, obviously after selling the players as well, the centre-half that sold, Hughes to Hull, I think staying up would be a good season for Wigan. If Wycombe can carry this shit on, though, and if they can keep Bloomfield, it's on. Seriously, it is on. But looking at table finally before we hop off, Shrewsbury, 4 losses in a row. They're in a bad way. They look really, really crap as well. Burton obviously beat them at weekend, but they're still both on 8 points and will still probably both go down. Cambridge got their ass handed to them big time, and I'm thankful that we're playing them after that instead of the games before. Wigan and Blackpool getting dragged down into this sort of fate. Northampton are too good to go down. I think Rotherham are really, really shit. But looking at super teams, I'm just going to ignore everybody and go straight to Reds. Oh my God! A bit more consistency. Take us chances a little bit more because we can do better than 2-0. We can be hitting them for 4 and 5 where we've been playing in recent weeks. Honestly, we've been really, really good. Wrexham riding the luck a little bit. Could see them falling off a tad. Who knows? Birmingham dropped points 2 games in a row. But we can keep winning every single week. Little prediction for you. Barnsley going up. But that is that, boys. Thank you as always for watching. Make sure you subscribe and like the video. The Reds are going up. Love you all. And I'll see you in a bit. Thank you as always. We are back to normality on this channel, alright? Everybody calm down. Love you all. Bye.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.